Hi everyone, this is Sabrina from Scrappin' with Sabrina, and today I'm going to do a video on this embossed butterfly card. This is the finished card, as you'll see some still photos on my blog. But the video I'm going to do today actually has some papers that are a little bit different just because I ran out of these papers. There was only so much in the paper pack that I used. So I'm going to set this aside, and this is the base of the card that I've already done a little bit of work to. So these are the papers I'm going to use together. This flower one is the same as the original card. This kind of plaid one is a little bit different. I like the other combination a little bit better, but I think this still works. So, and for purposes of showing you how I put this together, I think this will still be okay. So what I did is I took a piece of Stampin' Up cardstock, an 8.5 by 11, cut it down to 9.5 by 4 3/4. So when the card is folded, it measures 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. I did some dry embossing. If you can see, this really pretty flower image is called Elegant Bouquet, and it's a Stampin' Up exclusive embossing folder. And then to do my circles, I used my Creative Memories circle cutters, and these are actually my original blades I've had for about 12 years, and I've used them quite often, but they stayed pretty sharp, so that's what I used to do both of the circled images that are on the card. So the paper that I use for the pattern paper is a Die Cuts with a View paper pack. It's called Linen Closet. It's got some really pretty soft images in it, which I thought would be nice to go along with this delicate card. And the other products I mainly used are Stampin' Up products. So I'm going to show you how I went ahead and put this together. The other thing I went ahead and did some border punching. The punch I used is an EK Success border punch. And then on the inside I also put some pattern paper, and I border punched the second piece of pattern paper as well, so it matches the front part of the card. So the first die cut that I used, which I already have a pop dot on, it's going to go right here at the bottom edge of the card, is a Stampin' Up Embosslets tiny little folder, and what it does is it cuts out the image, but it also embosses the image, so it's kind of a 2-in-1, and that's one of my favorite dies that I have. And then the other one that I used is also an embosslet, and it's called Beautiful Wings. It has 5 butterfly images, and each one is embossed in a different pattern. So I used these 3 smaller ones here, and I'll show you as I put the card together, but it also has a larger butterfly and a much smaller one as well. And this is one of my favorites too. So the other last part in terms of putting that card together of products I used is the Stampin' Up label. And what I did is I actually cut one label, and then I cut 2 smaller pieces of just the edge of the same label, and I adhered it to the back of the original longer piece. So what I did was, I'll show you real quick. Here's one of my scraps. I just put the paper in and punched one part of the edge out and another part of the edge out. And so these are the 2 pieces that then I took the label and put it on just to the edges. So that's a little trick that I like to use because it just adds a little bit more dimension and color. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this together. This is another Stampin' Up label punch, and I actually, you can see that against the white, but now it's against the pink. So I used my Teeny Tiny Wishes Stampin' Up stamp set, which is a great set because it has a lot of just basic sentiments, and it's one of those stamps that's a go-to set. And each of those sayings fits perfectly inside of this label. The smaller label here that I've used, this yellow paper. And then if you have other sentiments that are a little bit bigger, Stampin' Up or other stamp sets, you can use the larger label die, and it still looks really pretty. Okay, so there's my happy birthday. I'm going to go ahead and add some dimensionals to the back of this label, and the dimensionals that I'm using are Stampin' Up dimensionals as well. What I do like about them is they are a lower profile dimensional. You could see how they just add a little bit of pop, but not too much. I do have some that are thicker if you want to pop stuff up more. And that's actually what I did with the flower. I used a thicker one. So I'm going to go ahead and put this up here in the upper left-hand corner, like that. And the other thing I like about Stampin' Up! Dimensionals is there's no waste in the middle. They're all cut, so you take one out and it butts up right against one of the other dimensionals, and then you can also use these edge pieces, so that works out well. Okay, next we're going to put down the butterflies. So I've already put these smaller dimensionals on the backs of the butterfly. These smaller dimensionals, I'll show you my pack. Let's see, where do I have it? Over here. These pop dots I actually purchased for $1 at Scrapbook, SCRAPBUCK. They have an online store called scrapbook.com. They are very tiny little pop dots, and they work well when you're working with tiny images like these butterflies. They pop right out. I just use my tweezers and pop one out at a time and then stick them down. And then you can also use the rest of the pop dots, the parts that you don't use, later on to reduce waste. You can just cut them up and use them, so you can use the whole thing. So that works out really well. So once again, scrapbook.com, they are $1, and that website has lots of just great products for a lot less that you would find for normal retail prices. So check it out when you have a chance. Okay, so there are the butterflies. Those are down as well. And then what we're going to do is add a pearl. These are pearls from Michael's from Recollections. And I'm going to use the brown because these papers, well, this flower paper has a little bit of brown in it, so I thought it would help to bring out the color in the paper. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do, and I'm going to go off camera and then come back, is to add the medium-sized pearls to some of these flowers here. If you could see these 5-petaled flowers, and I'm going to add some stickles, and then we'll come back with the finished card. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and added the medium-sized brown pearls to the embossing part of the flower, the 5-petal flowers, and I also added some stickles, and I don't know if you can see that in the camera. There's just a very subtle shimmer to the flowers where I put the pearls, and also to each of the butterflies I put a little bit on there as well. And the stickles that I used is called Frosted Lace. It's a Ranger product. So it's a little bit different than a regular stickles that's kind of more shiny. This is more of a matte finish. And like I said, it adds more of a shimmer than really a shiny sparkle. But I thought for a card like this that's really kind of a softer card, I thought it would look really pretty, and I really like how it turned out. So there is our card for today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.